Welcome back to More Moss to the People. This is Asa Nilsson, and I am your host. Today, part two, the legend of Taimi Nilsson, my mother, continues.
Thank you.
She's next to me again. I got my girl here. I can tell you right now, she does not want to be here, but we have blackmailed her with a really great dinner tonight. And sorry, Mom. Sorry we had to do that. But she was trying to say she didn't want to do it. And I'm like, now how is that going to work? Because we've only got so much time to get this recorded because it is now September. And we are heading out this Friday to go on a little family voyage to go visit some of our aunts and uncles and some really great friends. And so we don't have a lot of time. So time is now. And we have also, all three of us, Thomas, Mom, and I, been sick since last week with the flu. So we're doing all kinds of things here to try to get this message out for you. Yeah. All right. So thank you so much for being with us. I've missed you. It's been a month since we did our last episode, and we have done a lot, seen a lot, been a lot of places, and Mom has been a lot of places, and we're going to bring that up in a little bit where she was. And I want to say first and foremost today a shout out to our goddaughter, Nova Julienne Svedlund, on her ninth year birthday. That's a big day. It's a big day. Next year she'll be due 2 digits. So happy birthday, Nova. We love you very much. And we also would like to say thank you for how many beautiful comments and so many great questions that we received for my mom about her life, and how so many of you thought it was so interesting what she's had to go through and what she has gone through in the beginning of her life. And we brought you up to about 1973 in part one, and we're going to continue with part two today, but we have some questions that I want to kind of go back in time so that we can fill in a little bit more where we may have missed because we got some questions. So the first one was that people asked, how did Mom communicate with people in Finland if she didn't speak Finnish when she went back to visit for the first time when my sister was 1 year old? Who did you have then that helped you communicate?
Tula. It
Tula.
was my cousin.
Okay. So your cousin spoke Swedish or
Yeah,
English?
she worked for a bank.
Okay. She worked for the bank. Okay, so that means that she spoke what language? She spoke English or she spoke Swedish? What?
English and Swedish.
Okay. So,
But I didn't speak English then. I
uh-huh.
spoke Swedish.
Well, why
So
didn't
what-
you speak Swedish? Why didn't you speak English yet? If Annalie was 1 year old, that was 1959. When did you learn English?
School.
But you were already done with school.
Yeah, but you know.
You didn't
no,
have like the
that was not-
conversational
no, that
English.
was not the first choice you had to use English.
Oh.
When you were
Back
Swedish.
then. Back
No.
now, everybody wants to speak English, and back then, probably nobody did.
No.
Okay, now, so your cousin helped you speak then, but when we came to Finland when we were little, and we would sit with the family, we had we had a family member of yours named Elvie.
Yeah.
That was this wonderful woman. She and her husband, and his name was,
Oh gosh.
I can't remember his name right now. But they had 3 wonderful daughters. They lived in Finland, and she was really good with Swedish and English, and she would travel with us and help us communicate with Mom's side that we couldn't speak to. I mean, we would literally sit there in silence, like just smiling at each other in between meals. They were feeding us constantly. It was so sweet. They were so nice to us. But we didn't know anything. We couldn't communicate. So this beautiful family member, Elvie, she came with us and she helped us to be able to communicate, which, I mean, you do the best that you can. You always do the best that you can, but that was a huge, huge help for us to be able to travel and see mom's family and to meet her mother, also for us to meet her mother, all of the kids, because I'm the youngest of 5, like I told you last time. So if I was going there, then she was already pretty old. My grandma was at that time, so that was really nice to be able to have her, also to get to meet her and to have LB to help us. So that's how mommy communicated. And then some other people brought up a question: where did you meet dad? How did you meet my father?
Met him in Tibro at a furniture exhibition.
So what was
He
he doing
was
there?
playing. He was playing in a band,
Oh,
marching band,
okay. So he was playing in a marching band. Hmm.
and he had a friend. I don't remember his name now. Okay, it probably will come later. He was also related, kind of, to me, the other guy, and he, of course, knew Elof. So he introduced me to Elof. And I thought he was the gorgeous thing ever.
You did?
Yeah.
Wait, how old were you?
15.
Oh, so you thought dad was the most gorgeous thing ever?
Mm-hmm.
That's fun. And then he thought you were a meow, cat's meow.
Well, I don't know that, but
Well,
I like
then
him.
how, so you guys met, then what?
Well, then we bicycled to meet each other. Either he came to you or I came to Tibro, or we met halfway, depending upon what day it was a week.
So you started dating?
Yeah.
Like right there, like at the furniture fair, you meet him and he's like sliding by you with his trumpet, with the marching band. You're like, I want him, and then you guys became like boyfriend girlfriend
Yeah.
at 15.
Yeah.
I didn't know that you guys met that early. Okay,
He was
okay,
17, and I was 15.
huh. So, all right. So just to give you an idea, Tibro and you, the distance in between those takes probably like what, 25 minutes to drive by car today.
Mm.
It's a long bicycle ride to meet halfway.
It was a different road then.
Yeah.
It was further.
It was further. It took a lot longer back in the
Yeah.
day. But when you took bicycles, it probably took just as long
Yeah.
as it
Yeah.
would to take the cars. Okay, so you met dad when you were 15, and then you dated, and then you got married when you were 21.
Figured it out.
You figured it out.
No,
You don't even know.
you
That's
have
why
the
you're telling me.
calculator.
Okay. Figure it out. Yeah, well, you got married when you were 21 or 22 or something. Okay, so you guys were dating a long time. That's nice. So you came from different towns, but you met in the middle and then you started dating. That's nice. Okay, good. And then I have another story that somebody reminded me of when you actually got a lot of good comments about your flying the airplane and
Oh, I don't-
and how when you guys went to Norway and you didn't have enough fuel and you got there and there was nothing open and you couldn't even get a cup of coffee and then you had to land in Karlstad for your emergency landing. And then my friend Tom, Nova's father, my guide girl whose birthday it is today, our god girl whose birthday it is today, he said, don't you like talk about the story about your mom when she was traveling to Finland with flying you guys and there was so much fog. Can you tell me about that story?
No, the fog was when we were on the way home. On the way there, we came, close to, I assume, to
Space,
Finnish air, and we saw a lot of gliders. You know what gliders are?
a glider, you said, was an
That's an
airplane that has no
airplane.
engine.
Yes. They had the competition,
Uh-huh.
and we were in the middle of it. And of course,
So wait, who was in the airplane?
Daddy and I don't know who the kids were with me.
So
Oh, you must have been with
yeah.
us. because we went down in Arlanda
Yeah.
and we had to put life vest on
Uh-huh.
before we took off to Finland
Uh-huh.
because we were going to cross over water.
Yeah, of course, the sea.
So we had to have that on. So we went on our way up. And of course, we came in the middle of those gliders. And I had no knowledge about the word for glider. So
Was
it was a little bit of a shock up because they were telling me something and I did not hear it. There
they
was
who?
in the
Oh, the people in your headset.
yes. And they said something, and I couldn't, for the life of me, understand what he was saying. And he was speaking in Finnish. And you know, I'm fluent in Finnish. So
She doesn't speak Finnish.
I had no idea what the man was saying. But when we got through all of this, my husband said, I think the airplane without engines are gliders. Well,
Okay.
it's for time to know that when we had passed all of it. So we came close to Helsinki and we were coming down, you know, to ask for permission to land. And they heard that it was a female. So the guys, they were, you know, very welcoming. And they spoke Swedish and they were happy to speak Swedish. I assume, because it sounded like it, that they were very happy.
Why?
And they, you know, a female pilot at that time was not that common.
Yeah.
So they gotten me
Uh-huh.
a very close parking spot to the station.
Okay.
So out we got from the plane and we had to wake Åsa up. And she looked around and she said, and this is Finland. I didn't even got to swim.
Oh, thank God. Jesus. Yeah. No, we don't want to
So
be swimming when we have airplanes.
she was very disappointed.
Oh my God, Mom. So you're flying in an airplane with my father as your co-pilot who doesn't know anything about flying, and you're in the middle of a competition of gliders, but you don't know what they're saying because they're speaking to you in English, and you
No,
don't.
in
They're
Finnish.
speaking to you in Finnish, and you don't even know what they're saying to you, and you've got an entire plane full of kids. And you have no idea what you're doing, and somehow you get through this competition and you get through the other side. That's great.
I got to the other
You got
side.
to the other side. Thankfully,
Yeah.
we all got through the other side. And then on the way back, then there was a bunch of fog.
It was bad weather. We came into bad weather. And it was raining cats and dogs. Luckily, it was no thunderstorm, but it was raining and it was foggy. And everybody says I didn't know where we were. Of course, I knew where we were, but I didn't see it because there was no ground
You didn't know
underneath
where
it.
you were. You're flying through
Yeah.
someplace and you don't have any idea where you are.
No, I didn't know how far we were from if I didn't look at the instruments.
Oh my God.
Of course, I saw where we were, but I couldn't see it with my own eyes, the land underneath us. So then finally we got where we were supposed to be and we landed. And it was sliding when I was landing.
Why? You were hydroplaning?
It was so much water.
Oh,
So I went all the way to the end of the
runway.
runway.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's really super scary.
It was a real, not a real land. It was a grass.
So it was
Yeah.
fine even if you went over the
Yeah,
runway.
yeah.
Okay,
So
see,
it
this
was-
is really scary, and this makes me realize that it's probably better what you don't know. What you don't know is better for you. Certainly
I
as a
think so.
child. Yeah, I think so too. So yeah, your
We enjoyed it.
your flying experiences, I swear to God, Mom. You, yeah. Why didn't you know what the weather was going to be like? Isn't that something
Well,
that
it came up very fast.
I see? Came up quickly. Okay.
Kind of a thunderstorm without thunder.
All right. Well, that scares me. Scares me. Thankfully, we're not going to be getting behind an airplane. Uh,
Not that size.
not that size anyway. We're not going to be having her flying the airplane anyway. All right. So that's great. I think we're better off, mommy, with you maybe not being a pilot. Well, not today.
Not nice to say.
Yeah, I think that I think you were a little bit of a daredevil. You're scary. You're scary, the stuff that you've done. Okay, so that brings us now back to 1973. So we're now, sorry, I had to keep doing this with my nose. I apologize. I'm dripping. So 1973, we moved to America. And mom then my father was working in White Plains, New York, which was about 45 minutes away from where we lived. And then mom had all 5 children going to school in elementary school, middle school, high school at the same time when we first moved there. So we're all learning the language, we're all learning the culture, we're all learning how to fit in and how to be part of society and how to be a part, a good member of society and all that. And so is mom, and we all are. And then my sister Annalie goes off to college. And what happened when you and Eva went out to play golf?
Well, it was a day, it was sunny and nice and warm. And I put the potatoes on and they said, well, just going out to hit a couple of balls.
Golf balls.
Golf, what all the balls do you hit?
Tennis. There's a lot of different kinds of balls.
Well, I never
Soccer.
played tennis.
They should know this.
Yeah, if I had, I would have hit it all the way. It was the moon, I'm sure. So we went down the first tee, and Eva came with me. And we hit a very good ball. The first one is a tee to the left, the first. And then I was on the way and I hit on the second. I hit out, and it was a good hit. And then I found the ball, and I was going to hit it again. That's all I remember.
What year was this? 74? 75?
4.
74.
Yeah.
Okay, so my mother and my sister went, we lived in a place called Sedgewood Club, and Sedgewood Club is in an area called Carmel, New York. And it is a private area. It's really beautiful. It's up in the hills of New York, and it's a golf club. There's a golf course there, a 9-hole golf course. And so mom puts the potatoes on. She and Eva are just going to go out, play a couple of holes real quickly. The weather turned, and my mother got struck by lightning. My sister Eva was there with her. Eva saw this happen. Mom, well, it didn't. You explain. Do you remember what happened? You can explain in your words.
No, I only remembered that a doctor came who lived a little bit further down on the golf course. And they said that he gave me a shot. I don't know. And then they were Jay and Annalie. I don't know if Ulf was home. They took me in a red Volkswagen bus to the hospital. And I was there for a few days because they said, you can go home because we don't know what to do with you. So I assumed I went home, and that's how weird I am.
Okay, so being struck by lightning, I mean, obviously that happens. That can happen. The weather just turned. My mom was playing golf. You were wearing sneakers. You didn't have any kind of metal on your feet or anything like that. But she had a necklace around her neck. She had a heart necklace. And the lightning hit the ground, traveled through the ground to her golf club, up her arm to her neck. And then she fainted, passed out. Eva saw this happen. Eva passes out, and they're both fainted, laid out on the golf course. And a neighbor Ned Dorsey, who is an uncle to my sister now, Eva's husband. Thankfully, he was out walking his dog and he saved my mom's life. He ran back home, contacted a doctor that lived right down the street or however that happened. And they got mom the help that she needed so that she can get to the hospital. And that's a pretty amazing thing to survive something like that. Eva was not struck by lightning, but of course she was in complete shock that she observed this happen, and she knew what it was that had happened, and so she was also unconscious, but she came to. And so in 1974, my mother was struck by lightning. Now, how does that impact you today physically?
When the storm comes close by, my hair stands out on my arms.
Mm,
So I get like
like
a little
prickles?
funny and I get headaches
Hmm. You can usually tell when the weather is turning too.
very often. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. She can feel it. She can feel it in her body when the weather's changing, which is, I mean, it's kind of nice to have a mom that's a weather vane, but it's, of course, it's not nice for her to have a headache every time there's going to be a storm. So that's terrible. But you did survive that, thankfully, and that's an amazing thing to survive. And then we we move forward, you and dad are living your lives, we're getting older, you are still like you're staying at home because where we lived, it wasn't really close to anything. It wasn't close to the schools. So mom had to be basically like driving all of us all the time down to the bus stop, picking up my brother from his sporting events or whatever. So you really didn't get to have your own life. You didn't get to do anything because you were always waiting for the next pickup at the bus stop, or you were waiting for this because where we lived, there wasn't you couldn't go someplace and come back and do all that at the same time. You just had to kind of sit at the house and wait. What was that
Yeah.
like for you?
Lonely,
Yeah, of course.
but I was busy too.
Yeah,
Lonely but busy.
yeah,
As you said, I had to be on the road most of the time
yeah. You were
or
always,
waiting
yeah.
someplace.
Hmm.
Go pick up kids at places I never heard of. Remember the
No.
lady who lived, you were too young to go to the lady on the other lake where the kids went.
Oh, Hannah's.
And yeah, and
Yeah, no, I was too young.
yeah,
And even if I had been of age, I mean, I that no, then my siblings would have been too old. But you had to go pick them up?
yeah.
Why wouldn't
If
they
they were
walk?
not home by 12, I went there, picked them up.
Oh. Yeah. So, I mean, living on top of the hill, I also didn't like I mean, it was a beautiful area. It is a beautiful area, but what I didn't like about it, I felt very isolated up there because we lived there all year round. And our friends, they lived there on the weekends. They had their country homes where we lived, and then they lived in New York City, or like Stony and his family, they lived in Yonkers. Or but there was a lot of alone time up there. So I spent a lot of time in the forest hanging out by myself. But mom, you had to go. You were in the car a lot, so
Mm.
the isolation, because I mean, here in Sweden, you were a teacher, you were active, you guys had friends, you had a social life, you had all these things. Do you feel like you had a social life there?
Not really,
Not at
not really.
first. I mean,
No,
it took some time
yeah,
for that to happen, don't you think?
I think so.
Well, it's also we were
We were foreigners.
yeah. And I mean, did you think that people were like interested to know like about us, or did you feel like they were like, "Oh, we don't want to bother them"? What did you feel? I mean, because you were an adult, I was 5, so I didn't know anything.
Well, I don't think they were that interested in what we were doing. I felt like they probably had to invite us because we lived up there.
Nobody has to invite you just
So,
because you live there.
oh, I think that one. But it
Yeah.
doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It was a good time, even if it was lonely.
Yeah.
I was working with my hands,
Doing what?
knitting sweaters.
Mm. Oh, oh my gosh. I still have like 5 sweaters upstairs that you have knitted.
Uh-huh.
I love
So
them.
that was where they ended up.
Oh, I took them. I sure did. I sure did. She used to make Icelandic sweaters, and she would make, like, the Irish, those, like,
Cables.
yeah, like those cable knit sweaters. Oh, I love those. And such, I mean, mommy is very, very talented, very artistic. She can draw, she can knit, she can write, I mean, she
And
can
she
do
can
it all.
eat.
And she can eat, this girl. That's where I got that from. Um, so, yeah, but then after we got older, then you started getting out. You started getting yourself some education at night. You would get to night school and you would start learning things, and you learn about garden club, you learned about accounting, you learned about real estate. And real estate came in after we had relocated to Columbus, Ohio in 1983. My mom and dad and my sister Maria and I lived we moved from New York to Ohio, to Columbus, Ohio. We lived in Delaware, Ohio. And, and at that point, you guys were only stayed there for 2 years, and then you moved back to New York, but I continued on there, and so did my sister Maria, with college. But then you learned about real estate.
Yep.
And
Started working as a salesperson.
in Ohio? Or
No,
when no,
no, not before I get back.
because the realtor that helped mom and dad sell the house in Ohio said to mom, "I think you'd be a really good realtor." Mom's like, "What?" And she said, "Yeah, I think that you should learn how to do this job." And then when mom moved to New York, mom and dad moved back to New York, mom started to get her education. And then she became this rock star realtor.
I
That
sold some houses.
she sold some houses. She
Mm.
did. She did. And my dad, interestingly, then started to work with her. And mom was, the tables had turned, right? Things changed. My dad was always the breadwinner, and then he was the one that was always in control of everything. And then they moved back to New York, and then my
To the
dad's
same house.
Yep, they moved back to the same house that we lived in since 1973. It had never sold because that was a time when the real estate market was very low. And they had found a tenant
God, yes.
after my father interviewing probably 1,000 people to rent this home in upstate New York. He finally finds the perfect guy. He's from Pennsylvania and he's got his family. They're going to be joining him. Ends up this guy's probably in the public, what is that called? The, Federal Protection Program, the Federal Witness Protection Program.
We didn't know,
So my
but
dad,
we should have
oh my God.
guessed something was up when he paid. Was it 3 months he paid in cash?
He pays 3 months in
He had
cash.
the suitcase with money.
Oh my God. First of all, who has a suitcase of money? That's so
Well,
ridiculous.
he had cash.
That is so
He had a
funny.
lot of cash.
Well, maybe he was just in the mafia.
Well, whoever part he was
Whatever
in,
part of
if
the
that,
party he was a part
yeah,
of, he ended up just evaporating. He never showed back up. So my mom and dad moved right back into the house, just like they just hit the ground running and moved right back in again. So he God knows where he is. He might be 12 feet under outside the house. Still don't know. But that's a funny story because I mean, it's so typical that my father would have just been, he's so proud of the fact that he had interviewed so many people. He finds the best candidate and the person ends up being a psychopath. That's so rich. So mom then starts doing better and better and more with her real estate. She's stud, total stud. And then you go to work one day in the middle of the winter and
I don't remember.
you fell. You fell and you
Oh,
broke
yeah,
your leg, like
yes.
in 3 or 5 different
I was in.
places, and God.
I was on the way in. I was early as usual. So I parked my car and I walked. I was going to walk in the back way. And we always did. We didn't use any other way into the house. And of course, I fell.
On
It
ice.
was ice
Hmm.
on the walkway. And I was lying down there, and nobody came because I was the first one there.
Hmm.
And after a while, one of the girls, receptionist, came. She gave me her coat to put on top of me. And then she said, "Oh, I will call the ambulance for you." And she did. And I don't know how long time I had to wait. The ambulance was on the other side of the street from where I had my office.
Well, it
They
took so
could have
long.
been there in 2 seconds,
Yeah. Yeah.
but they probably didn't get the message
Huh.
or something.
Yeah. Who knows? It's
So
not
then
good.
I had to go to the hospital, of
That
course,
messed
and
you up bad.
they made my left leg bad.
Yeah. Still
It
to
was
this day.
broken. Yeah, it's still broken.
Yeah.
It's not still broken.
Still affected for
They
sure.
put a lot of screws and stuff in it when they
Yeah.
put it on. But that's another story.
Yeah, that was a nightmare on your street. And then what happened with that was also that, I mean, you had to now dad had to help. Dad had to
Mhm.
do a lot of things more than he had ever done before, certainly cooking, making food for you and helping because you couldn't move. You couldn't go anywhere and you were living up on the mountaintop. So that was a big that like physically that really impacted you and your health. And now of course then dad got sick later, but before that um you and dad stayed on the mountains. Dad always said, I'm gonna live in this house till the day I die. I'm gonna live in this house now in Sedgwood, back where they moved back to until I die." And that was in fact true. He did die in that house in 2005, August 2005. And but for mom, dad got sick and then you, of course, helped to take care of him. You retired at that point. You had to
Mhm.
retire to take care of him because he had mesothelioma. Mesothelioma is a asbestos cancer, an environmental cancer, and slow growing environmental cancer. And
Yeah, it
so,
took him 5 years.
well, yeah, when he was
Mhm.
diagnosed in on Thanksgiving to 1999, 2000.
2000.
Um,
He died 2005.
yeah, yeah. That's so yeah. So he ended up living. He was given 2 months to live, and he ended up living 5 years. So mom and dad had a good bit of time getting to get things prepared. My dad was so stubborn that I believe that he needed extra time because he needed to show mom how everything needed to be handled. How do you pay the bills? How because she was never allowed to pay the bills. She would never even allowed to have her own checking account. She wasn't allowed to have a credit card or a debit card or anything like that. He had a credit card. He had a debit card. And if she was allowed to use it, that's one thing. But she did not have any idea how to take care of herself when it came time to paying bills on the house. What are all the bills? What are all the taxes? All this stuff because I'm the man. I'm going to take care of all this. This is I think that some people may think that they're doing some kind of a favor, at the time, like, well, little lady, let the man just do the man's work. And gratefully, you had time with him to be able to go through all that kind of stuff so that you could learn it. It is not doing anybody a service if you think you are doing somebody a service by not including them in paying bills and understanding what it is that it takes to pay and to maintain a household and a family. But also, this became a part of the death cleaning. This is where we have the conversations. This is something for you to understand. If you have these conversations today, that is a part of doing Swedish death cleaning for yourself and for your family so that you can understand the big picture, the whole picture, so everybody can understand and be on the same page what is it that we've got going on in this family? Because God forbid, when something happens, inevitably, then we are prepared. So my mom had 5 years to be able to work with my father, thankfully, and we all had 5 years to work with my father so that we could all understand what his needs and what he wanted for us and what his wishes and wants were. Thank God he had thought all that through. So then mom moves to North Carolina after dad passes, sells the home. And then I live with you for a while after Donnie and I get separated. And that was a wonderful time to have a landing place to be with my mom. And then you got sick.
Yes.
What happened?
Well, really don't know how it started. I don't remember. I remember that Elizabeth took me to the hospital, took me to the doctors.
Mm,
So I must have had some inkling of something,
mm.
but I don't remember that. And then,
A good family friend, Elizabeth Ponovich, very
yes,
dear friend of ours.
and
That's who she's talking about.
she took me to the doctors, and then I came to the hospital there, and they said that they had to take my tongue out.
Your tongue out.
Yeah, because they say I had cancer in my tongue.
Hmm.
But then when I talked to Ulf and his wife, he said, well, I think you need a second opinion. So he wanted me to come to Ohio and go to the doctors there, because that was where Rhonda works.
My sister-in-law Rhonda is a
Yeah.
cancer nurse,
Yeah.
and now she's like top dog. This girl, she's gotten amazing jobs because she's worked for them. But she works for James Cancer through the Ohio State University. I'm not sure if what the hospital is called now, but thankfully, she says my brother and Rhonda say that, "Mom, you need to come to Columbus and get a second opinion at my hospital," because, Rhonda worked in the cancer section with incredible doctors, and my mom got the best. So, mommy then relocates to Columbus, Ohio, so that she can get the appropriate help, and she gets Doctor Joe Flynn at the Ohio State James Cancer Hospital. And he saved her life. She had lymphoma. Lymphoma. Okay, so that is no joke. That is not a cancer that's like, you'll be fine. This was a big deal. This was a very big deal, and he is a magician, and he saved her. He's my hero, my life's hero, my mom's hero also, and a
Yeah.
wonderful human being. Unfortunately, he left Ohio State and moved down to where did he move to? Kentucky. But he saved my mom's life. And so mom had lymphoma. Sweet, sweet little mom. And that was 2012. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So now at 2024, have you ever seen the movie Benjamin Buttons? Remember Brad Pitt? He started off as like he was born and he looked really old, and then when he got like older, he got younger, like he aged in reverse. That's what this one is doing. I'm telling you, there's something in the waters because mom is 88 years old. She has been struck by lightning. She has had terrible physical. She's had blood clots. You broke your leg in 3 different places, and your leg is never going to be the same. You survive a very terrible and scary cancer treatment, and you don't have it really any feelings in the bottom of your feet still. So of course you've got long-term effects from your cancer and your treatment. But man, you're still getting up every single day. You're still sitting here. You got sick like 5 days after Thomas and I got sick. I'm like, if she does not get sick, what the hell is going on here? Well, I mean, our house is not big, so she's gonna have to probably get sick right here. So mom has been, she's learned, she's learned to just be chill. And we talked about that last time. And that is, you can't fix it, you can't manage it, you can't control it, right? If it's something outside of our circle that we are given and we just have to wait to see what's going to happen, this is I believe why you can sleep like a log at night. You can sleep 12 hours a night. No problem. This one, she can watch murder show, drink like a pot of coffee, go to bed, sleep 12 hours, get up, start it over again. And she's fine. She's great. She's doing terrific and a pleasure because she is as chill as a cucumber and she knows don't sweat the small stuff. And it's all small stuff. God knows. Because if you sit and think that you can fix all this, this is what, of course, my problem is. So this is why I wanted to ooze off of her onto me and to you so that you can understand this is a model of what a life can look like, even when the shit hits the fan. Even when the body feels terrible, you've got osteoporosis, you have pain in your back every single day. You don't complain about it. You don't complain about it. Why?
Doesn't help, does it?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't help, and it also makes you feel worse to sit and complain about it, and, I mean, we do whatever we can to make mom as absolutely as comfortable and give her everything that she needs, and you don't ask for much. You don't ask for much. So, I mean, the thing is, mom, what do you think? Do you think the less you have around you, the more you feel?
What do you mean?
The less things, like, the less complicated things, like, the stuff to bring you down, to wear you down, that all the stuff that you have to consider all the time. "Oh, I gotta clean the house," like, "I've got more
Well, I
you know
don't.
I know, like, as an example, of course, now you don't, but now you have a cleaning person that comes in because my brother made sure that you got a cleaning person that comes in so that your house is maintained. We simplify our lives. I
Mhm.
believe that to have a good life, it doesn't need to be full of stuff. It needs to be full of memories, right? That's
Yeah,
terrific.
and very often stuff is memory.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I know. And that's why people have such a hard time getting rid of their
Mhm.
stuff
Yeah.
because they think that's the memory. Like
Mm.
this tarot card doesn't have it's not the memory, right? It doesn't that's not the card that reminds me of where I got the card from. I mean, I got these beautiful cards from my friend Sarah Kootball. Thank you, Sarah Kootball. But whether the cards are here or not, that memory is still in my heart. So do you um, with the death cleaning that we did in your home when we were there last year. When I was there for 2 months, I went to mom's house for 2 months and methodically she sat on her throne. My mom's chair is a throne where she sits every day. And I would bring things out of the rooms in her home and I would ask her, "Do you want to keep this? Do you want to keep this? Do you want to keep this? Yes, yes, no, yes, yes." And we would do that. And I mean, you have 5 children, you have 10 grandchildren, you have now 3 great grandchildren. The process of going through your things, your belongings, and seeing what they are. Do you do you like getting rid of stuff?
Yeah, I don't mind.
Why?
If I don't need it, why should I keep it?
Mm. So you like to keep things only that you need now
Yeah,
at this point.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. And how do you feel about giving things now to people like in your family or to like for example your sister, like if you have something that your sister really would like, that like do you feel good about giving it to her now, like she shouldn't have to wait until you're dead for her to
No,
get what the thing is that I mean it's nice. I think it's nice to share things now. i
I think
love
so too.
I love to share things. We
Mhm.
all share things. I mean my
Yeah,
whole family, we just like "Oh, you like this? Here, you can have it. Oh, you like that? Yeah, let me can I have that? Can I have that?" We've always done it, and it's like, there's not necessarily such an attachment to the thing. It's more like, "Oh, that's nice. Yeah, of course we're gonna share. Yeah, we like to share." And that's how I look at doing this type of work is like you're sharing your heart and you're sharing your belongings, your energy, because you earned the money to be able to pay for this belonging and then to be able to share it to somebody else. I think that that stands for something. It is that is something that I stand for. Um, Now, mom, for you, well, let's quickly go back to your best friend. I said when we started this that you have been busy this month. You've been
Mhm.
traveling. You've gone to your sister. You've stayed with her for 3 nights down in Skövde. God love her, Hilka. And then you came back here, and then we spent some time together. And then you went to your best friend Kerstin Hansson's house. And Kerstin Hansson and mom have been best friends since
Primary school.
mom's 88. Kerstin is 88. You've been besties since you were what, like 7?
Yeah.
7 years old. So 81 years they have been best friends. Isn't that so cute? And this woman is like an extra mom to me. And she is a lovely gal, lives in Vallentuna, right outside of Stockholm, and has fire in her like you cannot believe. She is a blazing Leo, that one. God love her.
Mhm.
She is terrific. And she is still mom's best friend. How did you guys meet?
In school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And that was it. We were together all the time.
but why her? Why did she become your bestie? Why
I
not?
don't know. I don't know.
Did you pick her?
I don't know that either. I don't remember. I don't remember that. I only remember that we had a lot of fun when we were growing up.
You still have a lot of fun. These 2 ladies, when they are together, oh my god, the laughing and the talking and the eating and enjoying a glass of wine and talking about the memories and, oh, they're so funny. You guys are awesome. Such a great model of friendship. We never give up on tr people you love, you don't give up on. Love doesn't
No,
give up. Love doesn't walk away.
she
That's,
is my best friend.
yeah,
Mhm.
and I hopefully you're hers too. I think you
Hope
are.
so.
Yeah, I think you are. Okay. She is she's a doll. All right, let's wrap this up here, mom. I want to ask you, um, is there anything that you would like to share on your heart with whomever is listening? It could be nobody, it could be a billion people, who knows? It doesn't matter. But one person listening today maybe needs to hear something from you about a life lesson that you've learned or something as an 88-year-old woman that you think is really important for somebody to remember so that they don't maybe get overwhelmed in their lives.
Well, life doesn't have to be complicated.
Mm,
You live a simple life and you're happy.
live a simple life.
Yeah.
Mm. Well, that's it. I mean, the more you have, the more you complicate. Dad always said that about the cars. The more things you have in a car that can break, the more expensive it gets. So keep the car simple.
Do you remember
Oh
the ones
my
with the
God.
rope
Yeah. My
to
dad.
start?
Dad was an engineer and he thought it was really funny to buy the most, piece of crap cars and then work on them, which of course he could, but nobody else in the family could. And so he would have ropes and hangers and MacGyvered up the cars so that you could have to start them and stop them. And it was always a scary thing. It was always a scary thing to get into one of those cars, but he just laugh and laugh and laugh. He thought that was funny. And I mean, to his credit, yeah, keep things simple in the cars. Mom says, keep life simple, don't overcomplicate it. Those are wise words because it's the to me, my life became overcomplicated. Didn't become. I created a life that was too complex for myself because I was too busy. I was too busy. I couldn't be every place at the same time and I was too pulled in too many ways. I was thinning out, you know what I mean? Um and now I try to focus on where I am, be present in the moment that I am in, and I think that's also why you sleep so well, because I say, "Mom, you don't have she doesn't have a bad conscience." She doesn't have a bad conscience. There's nothing keeping her awake at night like, "Oh, I really should have. If I had only done this, then I could have," right? So let's stop with the shoulda, coulda, wouldas, and let's live a more simple life. And let's remember that we're not alone. We don't have to do this alone. We shouldn't isolate. Try not to isolate too much. Reach out a hand when you need a hand, when you need help. But having these conversations with my mom, this is priceless, and this is priceless for my family, that they will be able to have this conversation in perpetuity for the rest of their lives. They'll be able to hear this conversation.
Oh boy, will they be surprised.
I'm thinking they're going to be real happy to be able to get access to your voice, and I know that I one day, fast forward, I will also be looking forward to hearing that. Okay, mommy, I love you.
I love you too.
I love you. I love you.
Take care.
Thank you. Thank you for listening in to this wonderful woman who means so much to so many people. And if you got a mommy around or a daddy around still or somebody that you want to have these conversations with, the time is now. The time is now. Take care. We'll
Take
see
care.
you in October. Bye-bye.